Hi everyone, it's Sean here from TurboSource. I will be walking you through part 1 of our Turbo Kit install. This overview will cover the removal of the battery, airbox, sound tube, and airbox modification. The tools you will need for this part are the following: a drill, a 13/64 drill bit, a flathead screwdriver, adjustable pliers, a 1/4-inch ratchet, extension of your choice, a 10mm socket, and a 12mm socket. Battery removal. Use the 1/4-inch ratchet with the 10mm socket to disconnect the ground cable first, and push it off to the side. Then remove the positive cable. Then use the 10mm socket to loosen up the battery holding bracket, and once it's loose enough, you should be able to release the hooks and set the bracket off to the side. When pulling out the battery, it is best to pull it out by sliding your hands between the battery and the foam instead of grabbing on the outside. Now remove the battery tray by using the 1/4-inch ratchet with the 12mm socket to loosen the 3 bolts holding it down. Then use the flathead screwdriver to pop the wire holder from the battery tray by pressing in the 2 tabs. You will now be able to remove the battery tray from the car. Sound tube. Use the adjustable pliers to move the first clamp away from the hard plastic sound tube, and then remove the second clamp away from the hard plastic elbow. Now use your 1/4-inch ratchet and 10mm socket to remove the bolt that is in the middle of the sound tube. Then you should be able to remove the sound tube, but you may need to use your flathead screwdriver to push the rubber tube off the hard plastic parts. Note, this is purely for cabin noise. If you suck or blow on the hard plastic tube, it lets 0 air through. If you remove the sound box completely, it adds a nice place to run a wideband or boost gauge wires through. Airbox. Disconnect the hose from the coolant overflow, then release the hose from the plastic holder that secures it to the airbox, and set it off to the side. Just a little bit of coolant will come out, but it's best to do this when the engine is cold. Disconnect the MAF sensor and use the flathead screwdriver to release the 2 tabs on the wire holder that is attached to the airbox. Use the 1/4-inch ratchet and 10mm socket to loosen up the clamp closest to the airbox until the back nut is at the end of the bolt. Now pop off the 2 clips on the passenger side of the airbox that secures the airbox top down. Remove the airbox top from the rubber intake tube. Note, you may need to use a flathead screwdriver to push it off. Use the 1/4-inch ratchet and the 10mm socket to loosen up the clamp closest to the throttle body until the back nut is at the end of the bolt. Now you can remove the intake tube from the throttle body. You may need to use a flathead screwdriver to push it off. You will also need to disconnect the crankcase vent from the rubber intake tube, which will also need the flathead screwdriver to get it off. Remove the air filter. Use the 1/4-inch ratchet and the 10mm socket to remove the bolt securing the airbox to the car. Now pull up on the driver's side of the airbox and it will release from the rubber isolators so that you can remove it from the engine bay. Airbox modification. In order for the intercooler piping to fit correctly, this sound box from the intake needs to be removed. Use the drill and the 13/64 drill bit to drill out each rivet. Then use the flathead screwdriver to push the clip back on the sound box so that it releases from the intake. That wraps up part 1 of the TurboSource BorgWarner EFR ND Miata Turbo Kit install video. Part 2 will include how to jack up your ND Miata and put it on jack stands, under tray removal, and front bumper removal. I hope you enjoyed this instructional video.